And hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. Alright, so the book only starts with if statements at chapter 4. Now, most of you probably know what an if statement is, even if you're new to programming, because I've used it in a ton of other videos and you've probably catched on already because I thought we already did it. I completely forgot about teaching if statements. So, time to teach if statements. Now, if statements in most programming languages is basically exactly the same thing. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take an basic example. Now, what an if statement does is if something is like something, do this. That's basically what you tell an if statement. So if my name is equal to Steven, which it is, then it will do whatever it should do, right? But let's say my name is this. Then that's not my name because my name doesn't have that exclamation mark at the end. So then it will not do this. Alright? So now let's get more into coding this. So if statements. Let's create a variable. We'll start easy with strings. So let's go isName and we make it a string. Now we have a variable isName. Now we've taught you about booleans. Oh wait, well, yes, that's even more perfect. Let's create another variable called bFlag. We'll get more into bFlags later. Boolean. Now recap. Boolean is true/false. Now if you have an if statement, it returns true. Yeah, if the statement is true, then it will do this. If it is not true, it will not do this. Alright? But if the if statement is false, so if it is false, then do this. But we'll get more into how to make something if it's false happen. So for now, let's do this. Okay, so bFlag becomes if 5 is bigger than 8. That's false because 5 is smaller than 8. Remember, bigger as sign. This is a mouth. Remember, if you don't know what a bigger as sign is, the big sign is basically a mouth. It eats the biggest one. So if it doesn't show to the biggest version, it means that 5 is bigger as, which it is not, so it will be false. So this is false. Now this is just an example. Now we can go bFlag. Now if it is bFlag, show message hello. Oh, wait, let's make it actually true. Okay, so we make it true because 8 is bigger than 5, so we make it true. Now if we run this, and we click on this button, we get hello. Now let's make this false again. False. Now if we're going to run this, let's also get the code in here, like so. Okay, can't move it. Alright, so now we have bFlag. Now when I click this button, it's going to check if bFlag is true. Now, oh, I should have actually started with something else, but okay. Let's first go with this. Now, if I'm going to click it, it's not going to do anything because bFlag is false. Good practice would be to just go bFlag equals true. So if bFlag is true, then begin. Now this is a way to kind of validate if it's true or false. So you can also go if bFlag is false, which it is right now, because an if statement returns a boolean. If the if statement returns true, because it will see, basically it would be the same thing here. bFlag becomes bFlag becomes basically, wait, let me get back. Yeah, so if b flag, or yeah, let's go b flag 2. If b flag 2 equals false, it's exactly the same thing as what's going on here. Right? Or let's make b flag 2. If b flag, b flag. Alright, so if this will basically mean exactly the same thing if we were to do it like that. So that's basically that. I'm maybe getting a little bit too technical. So now let's just go if b flag, or b flag is true. Alright, so if b flag equals true, then it should run this code. Alright, now we have b flag as true. Now you should be getting to this around right now. If you don't, I highly recommend you go watch other videos on if statements, because I don't really know that much about how to explain them. Now if you're one of those people that don't like to add equal true because you want to feel smart, you want to feel like you know how to code like intensely, like, you know, hard, it shouldn't be that easy to read, which is stupid. But anyways, if you think you're like that, then you can always go if not b flag, which this can definitely come in handy if the things get longer and longer and you don't constantly want to go equal, because later on you can have multiple things in if statements. We'll get to that later and stuff like that. So if not b flag, so if it's false, so let's make this false. So b flag, or wait, let's make if it's not true. Okay, if not true, then run this code. Now it is true because, yeah, I'm gonna confuse you guys. Okay, let's go if not b flag. Okay, I don't want to confuse you guys. So let's leave that one out. Okay, so if not b flag, then show message. Now in a place like this won't really work that well, but because b flag is false, it's automatically not, because true and false is kind of like a yes / no. If it's false, then it's no. So if it's not yes, basically, then do this. But if we were to make b flag true, so if it's not true, then it should run the code, but it is true. Now this might be a little bit hard, so let's go maybe if not 5 is bigger than 8. So if 5 is not bigger than 8, so basically if 5 is not bigger than 8, run the code. And 5 isn't bigger than 8, so the code should run. It should return true. There. The if statement returns true, because this is true, because 5 is not bigger than 8. But if you were to go like this, it wouldn't work. So it's kind of the same thing all around, over and over and over. This works with strings, with integers, all of those things. So basically you can take something from an input, you can put it in here. So let's say if edt name.text is equal to this, do this. Now take note, Delphi might not be that harsh on the like string is exactly the same as string. Like it might not be case sensitive in that code. But take high note, Delphi reads a string like this is not the same. It is, I can't do that. It is not the same as string, because this one doesn't have a capital letter. So just take that in mind. We'll get later on how to like do uppercase and lowercase stuff so it accepts them both as the same thing. Okay, so we'll get later to that. Right now we're just going to focus on this. Now, what if you want something to happen even if it's false? So let's say if it's true, so if 5 is smaller than 8, oh wait, let's go b flag equals false or true. So if b flag is true, do this. Else remember to always use begin and end, because otherwise Delphi will later on get errors and stuff like that. So we can later go to how not to add begin and end, but I highly recommend that you do. Now we have a B flag that if it's true, it should run this piece of code. Else, otherwise, if it is not true, it should say show message. Oopsie. Bye. So if show message hello, excuse me, if B flag is true, which it is, then run this piece of code, run that. But do not run this thing, because doesn't have to be an else then. But if B flag is false, so then it will not run this piece of, they will not run this piece of code, because then it's false. It doesn't go with that one. Then we'll go to else and be like, okay, there goes something else, and show message. So let's make it false. So if it's false, which it is not, because here it says it's true, it will say show message hello. Otherwise it will say bye. But right now it will say bye, because there we go, bye, because B flag is not false. Now I hope you guys are getting to know this a little bit better. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible, especially if you haven't coded yet, like proof programming and this is your first language. So yes, very important to know. Now also, let's bring strings in here. Let's go is name equals Netsu. Alright, so now if is name is equal to Netsu, take note there's a small n there, so that's not going to work. Alright, then else it will show this. Now we already have done this, so we're going to skip that. So now we're going to go to else if. Now else if is basically like giving another if statement. For example, run this. If this doesn't come back as true, try this then. If this doesn't come back as true, give us this. Alright, now take note, you can have as many else if statements in an if statement as you want. It's literally up to you. You can have 1,000 of them, and the code will, and the computer will be like, okay, that's fine. In literally all programming languages. So else if is name equals Netsu. Now this is with a capital N. Begin always. Control D. Again, I should really start using my mouse. Okay, show message your name is your name is, and use proper coding plus, so we don't have to change it later if we were to add it, which we won't, but just for the sake of it, your name is Netsu. So now let's run it just to show you that the small letter n isn't the same as the big letter n. There are errors. Oh, sorry about that. Becomes. Alright, so let's take note. Is name, if it is equal to Netsu with a small n, do this. Else, if it is Netsu with a big n, do this. Else, if it is not either of those two, do this. Now, since it's the second one, it will run the second one. Now, it will always go through the first piece of code first. It will first see if this is true. Never will it begin here. Never in any programming language will it ever begin at the second if statement or at the else statement. It will always begin from the first if there is. Alright? Now, there we go. Your name is Netsu. Now, take note. Else if is basically just having an if statement, begin, end, then adding another if statement. Just the difference is, if this if statement is true and this one is true, they will both run. Well, while in this one, if this one is true, it will run this and it won't run the rest. So that's basically the difference, and it's just proper coding if you use an else instead of a bunch of ifs. Alright, so now we have covered the basics of if statements. Now if you do not quite understand what I've been doing right now, this is when you click off the video and go watch a different video on if statements on any other language, and you'll understand, or this language as well. It's up to you. So if you don't understand now, please go watch a different video, because now I'm going to get to more of the intense things. If you do understand, continue watching and I will teach you the more intense things, like how to do this and this in one if statement. Now we're going to do and. Now what if you want to check if two things are true? For example, if his name is Netsu and b flag is equal to false. How would you go about doing this? Because they gave me an error, because this is not how it's supposed to work. Now basically what you do is you go like that. You add your brackets. Now what it will do is it will read if his name equals Netsu. So if the name equals Netsu, they will go and see, okay, we shouldn't continue, and if it's this. So if both of these return true, then it will do this. Otherwise it will start going to the next one. So now let's make this a small n and keep that true, because this one will now not run. It will say bye, because neither is this one here true, because his name is the same, but b flag is not the same. So this one won't run. The top one will not run. Here, his name Netsu has a capital N. So this Netsu and this Netsu isn't the same. So it will go to bye. Now take note, else isn't really necessary. You can end with an else if. It's just good coding to have an else to make sure if the user enters something they shouldn't, or if an error happens in some way, it should return something else. Alright, now let's make this false. Now it will return the first one, because now his name and the b flag are exactly the same. So the first one will be hello. Okay, now this is where it gets nice. Now we're going to do or. Now also remember, you can do and in as many as you want as well. It's up to you. Basically you can do whatever you want. Okay, so now we'll do or. Or is the same. You add your brackets, put an or in the middle, and add the next few. Okay, so that's useful. Now if his name is Netsu with a capital N, or b flag is true, so let's make it easy for a guy, and b flag equals true. Now remember, in future I will not be using equals true in the tutorials, just for now to explain. Maybe I will, it depends on how I feel that day. So if b flag is true, or Netsu, his name is equal to Netsu with a capital N, then get this, which means if this returns false, this will most likely return true then, depending. Because if I go, yeah, it will most likely return true in this one. So if we go true, this one will be like, nope, it does not, this does not return true. Then we'll go to else if, and like, yes, his name is not equal to Netsu, but b flag is equal to true, and it is an or, so we should return your name is Netsu with a not a capital N. Your name is Netsu. Now that's or. Now I told you guys about the bigger as or the not, like if not. Now basically how this will be useful is if you just put it around everything. So if his name is not equal to Netsu with a small n, and b flag is not equal to false. So if we go something like nsu, this will return true because it is not equal to netsu. Okay, it's nsu. And b flag is true. So if the b flag is true here, that's what it means, because it's not, it will return this one. So let's run it and see if it works. We should say get hello. Yes, exactly, perfect. And as you see, it didn't run the rest because why should it? It has already given us the first output. So anyways, that is mostly the basics. It is if it's not equal to that, if it is equal to that, if it is equal to this and that, or if it is equal to this or that. And then you have your else. Okay? But just because the if statement has an else doesn't mean it has to have one. That is a very valid if statement. In fact, that is also a very valid if statement. That is a completely valid if statement. If statements are really easy to grasp. So if you don't understand this, I highly recommend you go watch a different video and get this under your wing, because this is something really easy to understand. And if you get it under your head and stuff, you will become a really good programmer, because this is basically the essentials. We'll later get on to something like case statements, which I really don't like, but other people do like case statements. They do prefer to use case statements above if statements and stuff like that, but I prefer my if statements because it's easier to read, for me at least. Yeah, that's all. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys at least understood most of this and you understand how an if statement works. Thank you for watching. See you all in the next video.